is because there is some market volatility and it wasn't doing well. Now that it seems to be coming back for no really good reason, what are we supposed to do with this information?
Well, so it truly isn't coming back for good reason, because the stock market is one thing that is a function of revenues, right? So as people spend, stock values go up because corporate revenues go up and earnings go up. Well, people aren't spending right now. It's actually being propped together with stimulus money, and that's not real. So in time, that will actually fall apart. So by these numbers, because they're not real. So some more real numbers that we could actually look at are like housing, right? Housing it's hard to manipulate the housing prices, because either people are buying houses or they're not. What are they paying for it? What's the interest rate? And so U.S. housing starts. I mean, this is a wild number, because this isn't an annualized number. This is for the last 30 days, right? U.S. housing starts are down 8% in 30 days, right? Building permits are down 3.7%. So first you get a permit and then you start a house, right? So the number of housing starts is more than twice that negative of building permits, which means people are applying to permit to get a construction loan, but they're not actually following through with it. They can't get a loan, right? But what's even worse is commercial lending came down 11% in the last 30 days, 11%. Now, this upcoming Thursday, the Fed is meeting, but so is the Bank of Japan. So is the European Central Bank. What are they all going to do in concert with each other? Raise rates. It's my prediction, because they've already kind of tipped their hat as to what they're going to do. And we're looking at another quarter-point hike in at least Europe and Japan and America this time. Another quarter of a point in September in Europe and America. Now, then they might go pause. They might pause for a little bit, because, we're winning this war on inflation. Baloney, hogwash. Go to the grocery store, Christy Lee, and tell me, are we winning the war on inflation? Are groceries all of a sudden cheaper, right? It's like, no, they're not. So it's phony baloney numbers, like what we always see from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, right? But here's Japan. They're going to have to raise rates for quite some time, because they haven't raised rates yet. After 15 months of other central banks raising rates, they've been continuing to try to stimulate their economy, keeping rates artificially low. Well, now their inflation is so much they have to play catch up. So this is a problem. Now, that to me is basically the precursor of more economic malaise and economic decline, because people are already living at the margin. They're tapped out. Even Robert Shiller of Yale, he has the Case-Shiller, kind of real estate analysis numbers. I mean, probably tops in the world at analyzing real estate. He's amazing at it. Well, he basically says we've reached our peak. We're at a 10-year uninterrupted economic real estate growth, right? But now we've reached our peak. Well, why? Because we've hit a point of critical mass. Like the last few years have been like it's a head fake, right? People weren't completely tapped out, and interest rates were kept artificially low until the last 10 months. So I'd like to equate it almost to being on a diet, right? Let's say you needed to lose a bunch of weight, and you trick yourself by buying a pair of jeans that's way too big, right? It's like, okay, I can still fit into these jeans. I got a lot of extra room to spare, right? But then, so you keep eating, and you still have a lot of room left. But at some point, you even fill up those jeans, right? It's like, if I eat one more ounce of food, the seams on these jeans are going to burst wide open, right? That's where I feel like we are with real estate right now, and with the economy and all the debt that we have, Christy, because we can't get another pair of jeans. We already got the biggest one made, right? So now you have to have contraction so you can fit into it. This is where housing prices are going to have to come down, because the economy can't sustain it. The economy can't sustain the debt. So get a load of this. So in June, the numbers just came out. In June alone, the deficit grew by $646 billion. You annualize that out, they're on pace to add about $8 trillion worth of debt to our debt, which we've got $32 trillion that took us 250 years from 1776 until now to accumulate 32 trillion. We're on pace to add 8 trillion in 1 year. The implications of that are devastating because the interest payments on that debt are now approaching $1 trillion. It's like, oh my word, we only bring in $4.8 trillion a year in federal tax revenue, over 20%. That's unsustainable. That can't happen, right? But yet it's happened, and now we have to pay the piper. And that paying the piper means economic slowdown, stock market corrections, more bank failures.
Sometimes some folks, as part of their hedging with all this nonsense going on, do look to crypto. I've been learning a little bit more about crypto, particularly interested in the more privacy coins and just kind of as an ability to or even a shelter, if you will, but more just to make those transactions with keeping the government out. There's this article in Yahoo Finance now about Sam Altman's WorldCoin crypto project officially launching, and from what I understand with that, that's like AI plus crypto. And after hearing all about this like push for the central bank digital currency, and then Sam Altman trying to do this AI coin. Now that's kind of freaky. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, quite a few actually. So you're right. Your women's intuition is much stronger than men's intuition, right? And you're spot on because it creeps. The founder of artificial intelligence come up with some kind of a token, a crypto coin, right? It's like, oof, look at what central bank digital currency and artificial intelligence are doing. So if it were decentralized blockchain cryptocurrency, it would be private. So there's this process called tokenization. So that's identifying all of your assets, putting them into a package, right? But in normal cryptocurrency, like let's just call it Bitcoin, they don't know the source of the funds, they don't know the use of the funds, they don't even know the owner because it's all encrypted and jumbled up, right? So there's privacy in that. With central bank digital currency, same tokenization process, collecting all your assets, real estate, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, cash in your bank accounts, whatever, except instead of it being non-programmable and immutable, meaning can you change it? Bitcoin you can't change. Once it is, it is. Now, with the new system, they own the data. They know the source of the funds, they know the use of the funds, they know the owner, and it's programmable, meaning they can change ownership, which means you could lose your money if you don't toe the line. It's like, Kirk, that's a very reactionary, thing to say. It's like, okay, but it just happened this weekend. So Nigel Farage in England, the leader of Brexit, right, conservative UK politician, he got basically separated from his money. He has a private level concierge bank only for wealthy people, right? It's like this ultra high end, stick your nose in the air, snobby kind of a bank called Coutts, Coutts. So Coutts Bank basically said, well, we don't like your ideology. We don't like the things that you're posting on the internet. In fact, they had to write a 40-page dossier to explain to Nigel Farage why they cut him off from his money and won't let him access it, right? No bank accounts here. Well, it's because in this dossier, he's mentioned Brexit 88 times, Russia 140 times, but he's also mentioned support for Trump. He's mentioned net zero. He's mentioned vaccines. Well, they don't like that. So what did they do? They cut him off from his money because his ideology was not theirs. Banks, sadly, they're all working in collusion with each other. They all said, nope, you're a reputational risk to our bank. A reputational risk. So Coutts Bank made it clear that his conservative views were problematic for the bank. So in the minutes of this reputational risk committee, said that Mr. Farage is seen as a xenophobic and racist. He is considered to be a disingenuous grifter. Being associated with Nigel Farage presents a material and ongoing reputational risk to the bank. It's like, what? Isn't a bank just supposed to be a holder of your money, a unit of exchange that you can trade back and forth to merchants to buy goods and services? Not anymore. Not since the Federal Reserve in OP 1670, you can find it in the Federal Register, where they came up with the Fed Now app. This is where the genesis was in 2019. They actually added a new definition for money. It's not just a unit of exchange. It's not just a hold of value. It's actually social control. In their own words, they added a fourth definition of money being social control. Well, this is back in 2020 that they did this, right? So now we're seeing this a few years later play out. It's like, Kirk and Christy, you keep talking about this stuff and central bank digital currency and how it's going to separate people from their money based on ideology. Well, yeah, they told us that it would. And now that it is, and people are surprised by it. I'm not, because they telegraphed everything they were going to do. This is all about social control. It's all about separating people whose ideology is different from their bank accounts. And to me, that's totalitarianism in finance.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, what are we to do? Because we have like now limited choices. Like you said, we have to be careful about which banks we choose. And then on top of that, there's reports that there are nearly 100 banks that are set to close in the coming weeks. There's the article right there. So it's just like we continue to get like not only a lack of choices, but a continued decentralization of, or central, actually, I should say centralization, right, of the banks, fewer to choose from, right?
Fewer to choose from. In fact, there's an article, well, it's not even an article, it's a research paper from the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve did some stress tests on banks, and over 722 banks around the country have had equity losses more than 50% of their capital. It's like, what? They've lost more than 50% of their capital? Those banks are on the verge of collapse. So I would say it's much more than the 100 that article was referencing, when the Federal Reserve just mentioned 722 where their current losses are more than 50% of their total capital. It's like, yuck. Let alone people have withdrawals coming out that are greater than their deposits. It's like the banking system is really on the verge of a collapse, for lack of a better word, right? But there is a way to overcome that, right? I mean, this is what's happening in the banking world. We can't stop it. The central bank digital currency, complete loss of freedom. We can't really stop that either. But what you can do is counteract it, right? By allocating into tangible physical assets that are kind of out of the system, that have realness to them. They have accountability. They have transparency, because you're not somebody's digital entity in their digital world. It's a real thing that you take possession of that you could use for barter if you need to. But it's just an amazing thing to actually grow. In the last week, silver's up over 8% in a week. In the last 6 months, it's up over 45%. In the last 3 years, since March of 2020, it's gone from $11.91 to $25 an ounce. It's like, man, that's like up 110, 120% in 3 years. That's incredible, right? So we get to then take advantage of those trends rather than the trends taking advantage of us, if we were to act. And that'll put a smile on your face, knowing that you can shore up your finances.
Absolutely. And, also puts a smile on your face that you don't have to start with a lot. And that's why it's so great to either click on the link in the description of this video to get your free consultation with Dr. Kirk Elliott, or there is there in the name key, kirkelliottphd.com/KL. That's 2 L's and 2 T's, even though it's not spelled right now. That T, just the extra T, does not want to stay on there. But anyways, you can click, go to that website, or click on the description in below. And I just love that, like, people might find this intimidating. Like, gosh, I'm already tight. Like, where am I going to even pull money to invest and protect myself from? But there's so many options. I mean, things that people might not be thinking of. Like you might already have an IRA. You might already have, something to pull from that you can, it's just like more of a transfer, like diversify your IRA. That's sitting there anyways. Like you're not supposed to anyways, spend that money anyways. That might be an option, or just start small and add as you can, right?
Yeah, just start small. The key is to keep doing it. Consistency of allocations and deposits is the key to wealth, right? It's like you can't just do something once and expect to be a millionaire, or, in time. It's like consistency, week after week after week, month after month after month, quarter after quarter after quarter, whatever it is, just keep adding to it and it'll shock you. Even though you think you're not doing much, it'll shock you what that grows to over time when you consistently allocate into strength. Don't allocate into weakness. Don't allocate into the stock market. It's coming down, right? Bonds are toast with a rising interest rate environment. But allocate into strength and just watch what starts to happen.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for the wealth of information and giving us a way to find wealth. So thank you so much, Dr. Kirk Elliott, for coming on. We'll be back with you again. All right, folks, like I said, make sure you check out his website, Kirk Elliott, 2 L's, 2 T's, kirkelliottphd.com/KL for more information. Get that first free consultation so you can at least just get some guidance, find out if that's right for you. It's so important when you're doing these things that you can go to someone that you trust. And clearly you see him talk, very trustworthy, very laid back. And it's just that's like the path to battle, right? Is finding someone that you can trust. All right. So we do need to hit our break. We're going to hear from our sponsors. And when we return, we are all about supporting each other in this alternative independent media sphere. So we are highlighting Ricky Varandas of the Ripple Effect podcast. And you have so many things to dig into with Ricky today. So he is on the other side of this short break.
Now I'm on the right side.
For John Michael Chambers, his 40,000 foot view. We're so excited about that. Tomorrow, we're excited to talk to Mark Davis Pickup. He has been writing a screenplay about his miraculous experience of having to go from being healthy to in a wheelchair for several years to praying to God and getting up out of that wheelchair, and just his advocacy for life and quality of life. And he wrote a screenplay, and he is in talks now to get that up on the screen. So another good movie that we could support. So we'll hear his journey with that, and also planning on having Angela Stanton King check in with us again. And here is the Bible verse for today. Luke 11:28, but he said, more than that, blessed are those who hear the word of God and keep it. There you go. Well, thanks again for watching, and don't forget to share the counter narrative.